Hello folks, with patch 11.15 arriving this week, it's time to dive into the most important aspect of any new patch, and that's the mounts. In this video, I'll be running through all the new mounts and giving you a summary of what you'll need to do to get them. This isn't intended to be a full in-depth guide for every mount. For that, I'll link to a Wowhead guide in the comments. It's more just to give you some idea on what's going to be involved. I'll also leave a link to my patch preview video, which is a lot more details on the gameplay for the various events. As you probably already know, a lot of the content in the new patch is time gated, so you will have to wait quite a bit before you start to work on some of these mounts. But let's get started with what will be available from the start, and that's the new Nightfall event. This new event has a 10-step renown track, which will likely take you a few weeks to work through, and reaching renown 9 will net you the Radiant Imperial Lynx. This will set you back 8,125 resonant crystals from the new Flames Radiance Quartermaster, Lars Bronze Melt, who you'll be able to find at the new event camp in Nightfall. I just hope you haven't spent all of your crystals in Undermine. Also from the new event is a Void recolor of the Lynx mounts, the Void Scarred Lynx. This is a chance to drop from confiscated cultist bags, which you get from completing the Flames Radiance daily quest. You can get 3 of these quests per day, and it does appear to have a decent drop chance, similar to the Dauntless Imperial Lynx that you got from the bags from the Spreading the Light event in 11.0, so hopefully this one shouldn't be too hard to get. Starting in May the 20th in North America and the 21st in Europe, Horrific Visions are making a return, and this time around there's quite a few mounts to get. The Corruption of the Aspects is a recolor of the Heart of the Aspect store mount, and is probably the grindiest mount to obtain. This costs 40,000 displaced corrupted mementos from the event's main vendor Tori, who hangs out at the new Vision portal in Donegal. Now, on average, you can expect to get somewhere around 1,000 to 2,000 mementos from a full clear. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of visions. That said, if you can stretch to using the Horrific Masks, these do increase the memento drop rates quite a bit. Also available from the vendor is the Wicked Swarmer, which was one of the amount rewards from the original Horrific Visions back in BFA. This costs only 20,000 mementos, making it considerably easier to obtain than it was from the original BFA version. If you did the original Visions back in Battle for Azeroth, you'll probably remember looting mailboxes for the mail Muncher mount, and this too is still available. Simply click in the various mailboxes in the Visions. One mailbox in every area is interactable, and this is a chance to spawn a rare, the Mail Muncher, which will award the mount if you defeat it. And in the same vein, we also have a brand new RNG drop mount, the Nesting Swarmite. This works in a similar way to the Mail Muncher, with a chance to spawn from piles of trash within the Visions, one of which can be found in every zone. The hardest mount to obtain is going to be the Nya'lothan Shadow Worm. This requires you to complete the Mastering the Visions achievement, for which you will need to do full clears of both the Stormwind and Orgrimmar Visions with 8 masks active. Now, it is worth saying that, at least in the PTR, the Visions baseline difficulty is a bit lower than it was back in BFA, especially with full gear, but this is still going to be a fairly tough challenge. There's currently no indications that this event is going to be a limited time one, so it may well be possible to come back in future patches to clear it if you're not able to do it when it's current. And you'll probably be spotting the pattern here. The Battle for Azeroth equivalent, the Black Serpent of N'Zoth, will also be available from the new event. This just requires you to clear both Visions on a 5-mask run. Now, while the original Battle for Azeroth version of the Visions only had those 3 mounts that I've already mentioned, this time around there are several other mounts that we can get. First up is a new mini secret mount, the awesome looking Voidfire Deathcycle. To start this mount, you need to go into the Stormwind Visions with 1 mask active and find the Voidfire Deathcycle bite next to the Dwarfen District auction house. Attack the bite will spawn its rider, Hamar the Devout. Defeat him, and you can then interact with the cycle and send it to Donegal. Interacting with the bike in Donegal will give you a bunch of clues to find the parts for the bike, which can then be found in Visions as long as you run them with 1 mask active. The engine will require you to loot a Void Force engine block from inside the engineering shop in the Orgrimmar Vision, along with 4 Goblin Machine pistons, which are sold by either Big Keech up in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms or Roxy Ramrocket in the Storm Peak. For the exhaust cost, you need a magic line manifold, which you can loot from just outside the Trade District auction house in Stormwind, along with elementium plated exhaust pipe from Keech or Roxy. For the handlebars, you need to loot the Twisted Skull Scythe handlebars, which come from Valera's end chest that you get for completing the Old Town zone in the Stormwind Vision, along with this list of items that you can buy off the auction house. All of these are made by various Khazulgar trade skills. For the bike's battery, you need to get a depleted Void Crystal from completing the Mage Quarter zone in Stormwind, along with, yes, again, another set of items from various Khazulgar trade skills. For the bike seat, you get a Void Scarred Boar Hide, looted from completing the Valley of Honor area in the Orgrimmar Vision. And again, yes, here's another little shopping list for you. And finally, the wheel spokes. This needs 2 Void Flame resistant hides. You get 1 each from completing the Dwarf District area in Stormwind and the Valley of Spirits area in Orgrimmar, along with 2 Tentacle Spokes, which come from completing the Trade District in Stormwind and the Drag in Orgrimmar. And again, you'll need to combine that with some trade items from Khazulgar Engineering. Once you have all the parts you need, just combine them and bring them to the bike in Dornogal to receive your reward. Next up is the Voidforge Stallion. Getting this mount involves finding cursed horseshoes from the Stormwind Vision, which you'll only be able to see by running it with at least 1 mask active. There's 1 horseshoe in each zone except the Dwarf District. Once you have all of the horseshoes, you take them to the anvil in the Dwarven District, which will spawn the Voidforged rear from which the mount will drop. Orgrimmar also has an equivalent, the Void Scarred Pack Mother. This will also require you to have at least 1 mask active when you run the Vision. This time around, you need to obtain a worn wolf saddle from the auction house in the Valley of Honor, along with a bag of wolf tack from the main tent building in the Valley of Wisdom. These will give you a stacking buff, which will allow you to then interact with a rug in the leather working shop in the Drag, spawning a rare which drops the mount. Once you're able to step up to doing 3 mask or higher runs, you can then go for the Void Scarred Gryphon. Visit the Trade District, and behind Inquisitor Dartspeed you can find a clawmark bowl and a ripped note on the ramp up to the flight point. This note will give you a clue to obtain some Khazulgar foods. Offer these foods to the clawmark bowl and yep, another rare will spawn. And over in Orgrimmar, we have the Void Scarred Windrunner. With 3 masks or more on, once you clear the Valley of Wisdom zone, you'll be able to access the Skyway elevator, taking you up to an area with some Void Scarred cubs. Defeating those cubs will activate an event to defeat waves of wyverns until the Void Scarred Matriarch spawns, and defeating that will drop you the mount. And lastly, from the Visions, we have a new dual crafting mount, the Void Crystal Panther. The recipe for this can be obtained from Big Keech in the Orgrimmar Vision. You need 1 mask active to access him, and it is only available to dual crafters. This mount will be available through the crafting order system, so you will still be able to get it even if you don't have a dual crafter. Making the mount will require obtaining some materials from Visions, and again, this will need you to have 1 mask active in order to get them to drop. The ingredients include a Voidbound Orb of Mystery, which also comes from Big Keech, an unusual gem which you'll get for completing the Old Town area in Stormwind, 20 Shadow Fused Onyx, which come from any of the end chests and Visions, and 4 Black Blood Infused Bars, which can be looted from near the Anvil in the Dwarf District in the Stormwind Vision, and an altar in the Valley of Wisdom in Orgrimmar. All of these reagents are warband bound, so you can do them on multiple different characters if you prefer. Now, it sure does seem that Blizzard wants us to do plenty of mask runs. For the 1 mask run, I recommend using the Mask of Burn Bridge, as all it does is drop a trail of void pools behind you. For the 3 mask runs, I suggest using Burn Bridge along with Dark Imagination, where an extra ad will occasionally spawn when you drop below 50% sanity, and Nemesis, which will cause an elite to spawn every 25 kills in a Vision. Your first mask, the Mask of Long Night, is awarded from your first clear of any Vision. The Mask of Burn Bridge you get by clearing the Valley of Wisdom with 1 mask active. This mask is the easiest mask to use in a Vision, so once you get it, I do recommend using it to obtain the others. The Mask of the Daredevil comes from the Valley of Honor. Again, you need to have 1 mask active when you run it. The Mask of the Pain comes from the Old Town, and the Mask of Dark Imagination from the Mage Quarter. The Mask of Vengeance can be looted near the canals between the Trade District and the Old Town, where it's being revered by a group of vengeful Void Speakers that you need to defeat. The Mask of the Nemesis requires you to defeat Hogger in the Stormwind Vision by interacting with his wanted poster near the Mage Quarter entrance, and Gammon in Orgrimmar by interacting with his axe in the Broken Tusk Inn in the Valley of Strength. And finally, the Mask of Multitudes requires you to do a full clear on a 3-mask run in any vision. Anyways, that's enough for the horrific visions, and thankfully the final event mount is going to be a lot easier to get. On July the 2nd in North America or the 3rd in Europe, the Dastardly Duels event will launch. This event will last 6 weeks, and each week there's going to be a weekly quest with a nice reward. And the most interesting reward of all is going to come from week 5, and that's Tyrannatort, a cool turtle mount. The weekly quests just require you to do one Dastardly Duels event. These events are pretty fast and straightforward to do, but you will need to do each of these quests in succession in order to get the one for week 5. And that's basically it for the new mounts from patch 11.1.5, and it certainly seems that if you're a mount collector, you're going to be spending quite a lot of time in those horrific visions. So do hope that you enjoy them. So are you looking forward to all of that vision farming, and what mount are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this guide useful, fun, or just annoying, you can let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel and make sure that you find out whenever one of my new guides or updates goes live, then also hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. All of your likes, comments and subs help my channel to grow and reach a wider audience, and that enables me to keep producing this content. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.